So the first thing that we probably want to do is put our calculator in degree mode. Some of you may have figured this out already. That's fantastic. There's a mode button. Let's go there. Mine's already in degree mode, but by default, the calculator is in radian mode. That's a topic that you'll cover in Chapter 3. It has to do with circles and radius. Right now we're working with triangles, so we will work with degree. So what you need to do is use the down arrow to get down to the radian row, and then go 1 to the right, such that degree is highlighted, and then press Enter. Now the calculator is in degree mode. Now you can quit. I quit. Then press tangent, since we want to find the tangent of 625 degrees. And then type in 625. The calculator will assume that's degrees because the calculator is in degree mode. And you may press Enter, and the calculator will tell you the tangent of 625 degrees, which might seem like a weird thing to you because 625 degrees can exist in a triangle. But if you whittle this thing down to an acute angle, if you subtract 360, get 265. If you take off 180, you get 85. 85 can exist in a right triangle. So the ratio of the opposite to the adjacent side with respect to 85 degrees is 11.43 to 1. And check it out. Tangent of 85 is 11.43. Connection. Okay? Any questions on number 1? Okay. At some point in the past, Dominique asked me how to find on the calculator these reciprocal functions. Now I will tell all of you. So cotangent. If you know that it's the reciprocal of tangent, it's easy. So this equals 1 over the tangent of the same angle. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. 1 divided by the tangent of negative 433. Bam. Negative 0.306, which is choice B. Okay? Just stop me if you have a question. Another cotan, easy. 1 over tangent, this time 22.5. 2.4-ish. We'll try to make this interactive. Secant, what should I type? Excellent, excellent, excellent. 1 over cosine. 23.491. Entree. 1.09. So that's the ratio of hypotenuse to adjacent for a 23.491 degree angle. The ratio is 1.09 to 1 about. Which makes sense because the hypotenuse is the largest side. Okay, next one, easy. 0.354. And let me skip down to something that's different. Number 8, what should I type? 1 over sine, very good. Okay, so the cosecant of 277.312 degrees is negative 1.008. Okay, any questions on page 1? Sometimes we like to go in reverse. For example, in numbers 10 through 15, we're going backwards. We're told the trig function value, and we're asked for the angle. On the first page, we know the angle. We're trying to find the trig function value. So the calculator has the ability to do this. You may have noticed above the sine, cosine, and tangent keys, there's sine to the -1, cosine to the -1, and tangent to the -1. I did not choose this notation, and I completely understand if you think that these are the reciprocals. That is a totally legitimate thing to believe. However, I'm telling you that they're not. These are the inverses of those three trig functions. And in mathematics, inverse is not always the same thing as reciprocal. Inverse means to undo something. Okay, so for number 10, to find the angle for which opposite to hypotenuse is 0.2079, we can use inverse sine. So you have to press the second key, since the letters are in blue above the key. You have to use second to access that, S-I-N. And then you just type in 0.2079. And it undoes the sign and it gives you the angle. Okay, so that's an angle in degrees, about 12 degrees. And if you do the sine of that, you get 0.2079, which is what we want. Okay, 11. What do? I don't have an inverse secant key. What do you think I do? 1 divided by? We're going to use inverse cosine, but of what number? 1 divided by 1.211. So we need to find cosine first, since we don't have an inverse secant key.
Why can't you just do 1 divided by the inverse of cosine?
1 divided by the inverse of cosine is actually 1 divided by an angle. And I can't think of a reason for finding that. I have not encountered an application in trig in which you would want to find the reciprocal of an angle. But that doesn't mean that one does not exist. Okay, so first we're going to find cosine. Now we can use inverse cosine on that. So second cos of second negative, that's your answer memory, if you don't know. Gives you the last answer. Okay. So 34.33 degrees. Yes, sure. So we're told that the secant of some angle is 1.211. What that means is in a right triangle, I'm not going to draw it to scale, the hypotenuse is 1.211 times the adjacent side. And we are trying to figure out what this angle is. We could use a ruler, measure these out, and then use a protractor. However, that's old school and not as precise. So we're going to use our calculator. 1 over 1.211. Okay. So the calculator does not have an inverse secant button in order to find out what this angle is. But what we can do is use the inverse cosine button. So if this thing called secant is 1.211, then the thing that we call cosine is 1 over that number, which is about 0.8258. That's the ratio of adjacent to hypotenuse. Then you can ask the calculator, hey calculator, for what angle is the ratio of adjacent to hypotenuse 0.8258? To do that, you press second cosine of 0.82576, blah, blah, blah. And you get 34.33 degrees. Okay. Which is going to be also the angle for which secant is 1.211, or the ratio of hypotenuse to adjacent is 1.211 to 1. Okay? One of the reasons I have you in pairs is so that you can ask your partner things. So I encourage you to do that before you ask me. All right, now I'll call on people at random. Terry, what do I press on the calculator to find the answer to number 12? Thank you, Dan. Jen, are you willing?
No, I don't really get it.
Okay. Nikki B, are you willing?
No.
Okay. Brett, are you willing? Dan, thank you, man. What do I type?
Which one?
Number 12.
Cosine to just do it real quick. Cosine negative.
Yep, inverse cosine.
And there's cosine.
So what buttons do I press?
Second cosine.
Second cosine.
And then you just plug it in.
And then you just plug it in.
0.89.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So the angle for which cosine is 0.891 is 27 degrees about. No need for a protractor. Pretty sweet.
So they're only really complicated when it's OC,
Yeah, the reciprocal ones are more complicated. Okay. Could I get a volunteer for number 14? Somebody other than Dan, please. Val, thank you.
I just thought it would be on the other.
Yes, please.
So you hit the second button, and
Second tan, good.
then you do 1 divided by 0.563.
Sweet. Yep. There it is. So you don't have an inverse cotan button, no problem. Find tangent. Tangent's the reciprocal of cotan. That's this whole 1 divided by business going on in here. And then that's the angle for which cotan is 0.563, 60.62 degrees. Okay. And another volunteer for 15? Yes, Dominique. It's not possible. And please tell us why. Could you say it one more time? Actually, it has to be. It can't be in between. It's not possible because cosecant can never be between -1 and 1. You said outside. Oh, then I misheard. I apologize. Yeah. So cosecant has to be greater than -1 and less than 1 simultaneously. Greater than -1 and less than 1. And I think I just made an error as well. You'll have to forgive me. It's Monday. This is what's true. Think about it. Hypotenuse over opposite. Hypotenuse is larger. So you're never going to get something that's less than 1 and greater than -1. Okay? If you tried to solve this with the calculator would give you an error. You would do inverse sine of 1 over 0.563. Error domain. Because it's impossible for that ratio to be 0.563. Hypotenuse over opposite. So, Dominique, I just want to make sure we're clear that this is the truth. Okay. Good. Any questions on 10 through 15? Okay. Next, you're just going to use your calculator. Prior to this, we were finding the exact values using our knowledge of trig. So for the first one, you can just type in 150 plus 210. Just make careful use of parentheses. That equals 0. And then sine 150, close paren, plus sine 210, close paren. That's what I have. That also equals 0. True. Okay. And I think that's all I'll say for those. Let's jump to 21, because that has something different in it. So please be reminded that cosine squared is the same thing as cosine of the angle. That result squared. Same thing with sine. So we want to know, does cosine of 360 degrees, which is 1, is that equivalent to the cosine of 180 degrees squared minus the sine of 180 degrees squared? Yep. Deep gratitude for the calculator. Any questions on problems 16 through 21? Okay. One of the fortunate things that's going to happen very soon is we are going to start applying the stuff that you've learned over the past month about. This includes getting outside to figure out how tall things are that are too tall for you to measure, using the power of trig. So here's your first application. Grade resistance. So trig and physics, they go hand in hand. I think you'd have a really tough time in physics if you did not know trig. So grade resistance has to do with climbing a grade. And it's the resistance that's encountered from the grade. It's just like if you were trying to climb a hill. This is the equation that models the grade resistance. F stands for force. W stands for weight. You know what sine is. And then this is the angle of elevation. So because sine increases as angle increases from 0 to 90, that means that the grade resistance is going to increase as your incline increases. So we want to know for the first one, what's the grade resistance going to be if the car is 3,000 pounds and the grade is 3 degrees. Calculator makes us a cinch. 3,000 sine 3. 157. So the car has to overcome that additional 157 pounds to move.